Right, everyone. I'm really excited to be sitting here talking to Carlos Bostria from Corvus Belli. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have a chat with me.
Thanks.
So I suppose today we're going to find out a little bit more about you and a little bit of some listener questions. So how long have you been with Corvus now?
Since 2007,
Yeah, so quite a while. And what brought you over to them?
I was around. They needed help because Infinity began to demand time from them, and they needed a Photoshop guy and
Okay.
a guy who could make sketches and stuff like that. I was around. It began as a friendly collaboration, and at some point they needed to hire someone.
Yeah.
Also making molds, stuff like that. I was around.
Yeah, because I've seen some of your artwork on Instagram, your sketches,
Hmm.
and it's really good. How does that compare to your painting,
My paint,
like
I do not
miniature
paint
painting?
miniatures.
No?
I don't paint miniatures. I do Photoshop or video work for Angel, so Angel paints my miniatures.
Okay,
That's the deal.
that's a good deal. I'm very jealous. Um, I'm very jealous. So, when you have your miniatures, what do you like to play with? What sort of tactics do you prefer from Infinity?
At some point, I totally lost the I'm no longer playing for fun. I am just testing when I play. And the last years, I've been playing mostly Aristella, really.
Okay.
But when I was going to tournaments, when I was participating in tournaments, nomads became the army that that every time I had an idea, I tried to make it with Yuching, I tried to make it with Hack Islam, but the nomads were optimizing those efforts, those cost spending points and stuff like that. But since the beginning, when I choose a faction, because at some point I play all the factions, I have no problem.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, when everybody was choosing their faction, I choose Yuching. And in the first tournaments, the ones I really enjoy because I was more a fan than a Corvus Belli staff, I was playing with Yuching. That was the beginning. Nomads was when it was released because it took time until the Nomads were released, because back in the day the starters arrived with several months after each other. But with the three first starter packs, Pano, Yuching, Ariana, I jumped into Yuching.
Okay.
And for years, because of that decision, I was the guy who had to defend Yuching in the decisions of the company, stuff like that, because everybody chose a faction back then.
Yeah.
It's not like nowadays. Nowadays we have to care for everybody, and it's impossible because we are reaching 30 armies already.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I was the Yuching guy.
Cool. And I suppose just before we move on to some other questions, Luke, one of my viewers has asked, "Are you a Shazvasti, and when are the rest coming?"
Ah, yeah, I'm fast. Yeah, yeah. It's happening this year. It's happening this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose recently we've seen different miniature companies. It's very competitive, and we've seen some companies go bust. What do you think keeps Corvus Belli keep expanding? What are they doing right?
In-house production,
Yeah.
something that well, it has been always a feature from Corvus Belli, but we didn't realize how important it was until many years after releasing Infinity. Really, having the sculptures here and the guys making the casting and production right next to them. And not outsourcing production, which is the key thing that kills a company nowadays because everybody produces in China,
Yeah.
and if something goes wrong, they have already paid everything, and Corvus Belli can adapt to the success or failure of every single SKU, and that is very, very comfortable and very low risk management and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but also helps to adapt the company. So that I can tell you that Corvus Belli will survive through everything because
Yeah.
of that. Okay, the company will be bigger or shorter, smaller or bigger, but we can adapt.
Just continue.
So that has been a key element during all these years because it also allows us to commit mistakes, to have wrong decisions and learn from them without killing the company,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, even if you love plastic miniatures, okay, but right now, if you make your company and your game and you make a ton of miniatures and you make them being produced in China and you have to pay thousands of dollars and you realize that you made one mistake, you have already spent that money. You cannot react to that.
Yeah.
So that I think many Kickstarters, many companies, many lovely initiatives are being destroyed by unexpected things, and because they are not producing their stuff, they suffer from that a lot,
Okay.
and they have a huge debt and stuff like that. So Corvus Belli doesn't work that way because of the very friendly garage company that has always been.
Yeah.
And nowadays we realize, oof, we're lucky, we're lucky.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you think Corvus could be doing better or improve on at the minute?
Oh, a lot of stuff. Really, we have to improve a lot because the standard of that the industry has set because of many very powerful companies really set a very high standard, and we have to stand up to that. So lots of stuff. I hate the staple on the packaging of the blisters. I hate it. I want to change that so badly.
I think if that's the only problem, you're doing quite well. So,
No, no, no. That
yeah,
much more problems.
yeah. Um, Recently we had Daedalus Falls released, or sort of we've seen it, and I was really happy to see Corvus Belli doing their own videos. I think it worked fantastically. So well done to you and Coney on that. Um, I suppose,
Connie did a great job. Connie
yeah,
did most of the editing of the videos. Yeah.
they were fantastic. Um, I suppose there was a leak beforehand of some photos, or a suggested leak. What's that like for Corvus Belli, the atmosphere in the office when something like that happens?
For certain people, it's not so such an issue. For me and Connie, for example, because we were have been working for weeks on those videos,
Yeah,
it was unpleasant because you are working in order to release the trailer and boost the hype and release the contents, and suddenly you see one guy in 4chan willing to have some attention at some moment and leaking tons of stuff, and you know that comes from internal folders. It's painful. It's very unpleasant.
that sucks. That sucks. Does it change your strategy, like force you to release earlier, or um,
No,
no?
no. The dates are already very solid for us because that requires to coordinate lots of efforts, sculpting, casting, production, distribution.
Mm,
So once the decisions are made, 2 months before the moment, nothing can change already.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Because I was going to ask, sort of, how far ahead do you guys plan? Because we've had so many releases recently. How far do you think ahead?
I mean, 2019, when we reach GenCon, usually all the big plans for the next year are already made.
Wow.
That's it. That's why I can show the 2019 schedule, okay? Because we have decided what is going to happen. If something changes, it will be a very dramatic decision making session, stuff like that. Right now,
Yeah.
we are deciding. These days, we are deciding the whole 2020
Yeah.
schedule. And right now, we are pretty ahead of the Gen Con for this year. I mean, of the miniatures, of the product, of everything is being made right now, which is a great progress for us because back in the day we were finishing the April miniatures in March.
Yeah.
Everything was a constant because we were fewer guys
Yeah.
working here, and everything was a constant marathon of running and making everything in the last minute. And now many experts that advise us tell us that we should show the stuff 3 months in advance
Okay.
So distributors and stores, they assure us that if we give everything with much more advance, even before the reaching of the stores of the product, we will sell more copies because that will benefit the working schedule of big distributors and big stores. And it's like, oof, because previews also have their own time schedule, and it will be difficult to communicate new stuff coming for the stores without it not being leaked immediately.
Yeah. 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 Um,
And by the way, many people tells you that it will be in the perfect world when you hit the media regarding promotion of a product. It will be great if in that same week the product arrives at the store.
okay.
So it's contradictory messages. Give us everything 3 months in advance, 3 months before the product hit in the store. Totally, the news will be totally dead cold back then.
Yeah.
Things will sell more if things are being shown, and you have a button to buy it immediately.
Yeah.
So that's why I think pre-orders work very well, because you hit the media with a trailer and a week of contents, and people hit the button
Yeah.
instantly. I mean, and then it will arrive, but because this is not first necessity product, it's just enjoyable games and stuff like that. So it comes with a very emotional moment of buying and
Yes.
purchasing obsessively miniatures.
Yeah. That
It's
impulse.
buying is not an essential thing for survival.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose Joshua Hill, one of my viewers, has asked, how do you decide what limited edition miniature to put with the box and books for those pre-orders? How do you guys
Hmm.
decide that?
That is mostly being decided by Carlos Torres and Gutiérrez Lusquiños many times, but they usually try to make it a figure, a neutral figure that can be placed in both armies or in the bundle. This figure goes with these guys, this other figure goes with those guys, stuff like that. I mean, many. Also, sometimes because the time schedule is pressuring a lot, is like, okay, what will be easy to make,
Yeah.
like. One of these days, you will see probably a dismounted Desperado, okay, the bikers from Ariana. Why? Because we have already a mounted one. It will be
Yes.
so easy to get that guy and put him on 2 feet. Because nowadays, everything, every partner product or every little pre-order moment or every event wants their exclusive miniature,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's like, okay, we need to make an exclusive miniature in 2 days. What do we do? And I always say, dismounted Desperado.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want something to happen immediately, get a biker and dismount him.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, definitely makes it very easy. Um,
But usually this super pre-order stuff like Daedalus Fall, this is a big operation that has been planned with lots of months in advance. That
yeah.
is very well designed. So with the Hatay Spec Ops, which is the Spec Op for the Spiral Corps and Toha,
Yeah.
so fine with that. The Brawler Hacker, which is because Brawlers are totally wildcards in many different armies, so everybody will love to have one. And Saito Dogan, that was the most last decision of the pack, but we have mercenary companies and the JSA with Saito Dogan, which is a very dated miniature, and well, many stuff.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, so I suppose moving on. So people talk about FAQs a lot, and I suppose people talk about wanting them quicker and sooner. How much work goes into an FAQ?
Well, since N3, because first let's go to second edition, N2.
Okay.
Back then, rules were not so important, were not so written in stone. Okay, so I allow myself to answer questions on the forum, and suddenly my answer was not the same answer that Palanca can write on the forum, or maybe it's not the same answer that one guy writes on another page of the forum. Helois, for example. Back
Yeah.
then, we were like concerned about the rules, but we didn't have an internal structure about them. Now everything has to go through Helois and Gutier, okay, which are the people in charge of the game Infinity and the ITS. So we avoid to answer funny questions because right now, if I say anything on the forums, Bostria has said that it's official, and I'm not totally aware of the rules. I'm not a tournament player. In fact, right now there are tournament players out there which are much more aware of the rules than many people in Corvus Belli. Maybe not so much as Helois and Frank, which are the most aware of rules people here, but more than myself, for example. So we have to have an internal structure, solid internal structure of our rules, and everything has to be discussed. Okay, so it's not. It goes like this,
Yeah.
because the translations also in Spanish, in English, have different interpretations also. So there are many issues with ruling. It's not so easy. It's not saying like this, like that. And then FAQF stands for frequently. One guy can have a legitimate question somewhere, but it's not many people asking the
Yeah.
same question. And then also people asking questions that if you read carefully, the answer is in the rule also. I mean, if many people ask the same question, that has to be answered in a FAQ.
Sure.
If many people read the rule, but it still throws doubts about it, if nobody has a crystal clear interpretation of it, maybe that has to be in the FAQ. I mean, it's not like one guy somewhere came up with some question, generate a forum debate, but that is not a frequently asked question. That is one specific point,
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't sound as easy as people think it is. And there's also, we need them to be frequent questions rather than just a couple.
And have a structure of how to respond officially from the company towards that.
Yeah.
Because if suddenly everybody can answer questions, we have a problem of the structure then.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I realised we're kind of coming up to time, so I'll just ask a couple of questions from the viewers. So John Page has asked, can we have some team-based ITS rules, please?
Team-based,
So like
team participation.
2-on-2 Infinity.
2-on-2. Sounds fun. That's not a question.
It's not,
That's
no.
a proposal.
It's a request.
It's a request, yeah.
So Aaron Paul asks, what inspires you when you work on Infinity? Drawings and your sort of work. What's your inspiration?
When designing, you said.
Yeah.
To me, is video games from the 90s or something like that.
Okay.
When things used to be fun, stuff like that. No, the anime from the 90s. Appleseed, Ghost in the Shell, at least for me and for more people around here, for some reason, we were, youngsters more, and we were fascinated with anime and stuff like that. I think that many times we go back to that.
Yeah.
But this is at the end is because you grew up or you enjoy that particular time of your life.
Yeah.
And everything was better back then,
Yeah. Nostalgia.
Yeah, totally. I mean, every generation has their own different stuff,
Yeah.
But the 90s, for me, as a guy who likes to draw stuff, I keep going back then so frequently.
Yeah. If you had the choice, what one cameo would you do next? So we've seen lots of things like in Nomads you have you have comic book characters, you have people from television. What would you choose to be next?
That's a good question. I would like Mads Mikkelsen, for example, in a miniature.
Yeah.
He's a super charismatic guy. For example, something like that would be cool. Yeah.
What do you think he'd look good as?
As a deadly Spetsnaz or Russian officer or something like that, yeah.
That's a good one. That is a good one. So Andrew Wells asks, will we see more Diaphos boxes?
Yes, in fact, there's a new one coming with Nauf, the character from the
Okay.
manga, against Arslan, another character from the manga, with an NGO volunteer as a VIP. The name of the box is the Dark Fox Mission Pack 8 Nocturne.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and that's for, I guess, for May, for April, something. It's pretty close.
Okay.
The some people have seen already the 3D previews,
Yeah.
which has become a thing now. Back in the day, we were not allowed to show work in progress,
Okay.
but now with 3D, we allow ourselves to show 3D renders, and I'm making better 3D renders now with another program because back in the day I was using the 3D builder from Windows directly just to show orange renders. So everything is so amateur here.
Amazing. Yeah, look forward to seeing those. That's really exciting.
Mm.
Um, so last question then, Bostria. So Ben Spalding asks, will we see more profiles for Drew's Bayram security?
New, totally brand new profiles.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that with Daedalus Fall, regarding new content, okay, until Gen Con, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day and your schedule. I imagine it's crazy there with the new releases. So thank you for answering some questions and spending some time with me.
Hey, thanks to you, Greg.
Thank
It was so nice. Thank you.
thank you.